When our best fur friends leave our world, many of us are left wanting one last scritch, one last hug, one last walk together. One Last Network is a space for pet guardians to honor their pets in their senior years and to cope with the days leading up to and after their passing. Here's your host, Angela Schneider, founder of One Last Network and Big White Dog Photography in Spokane, Washington.
Hi, welcome back to One Last Network. We're hitting lucky number 13 today, our 13th episode. I'm not into superstition at all. Like, at all. Anytime I see a black cat, I give her a nod and say, "Hey, what's up, cat?" And today, we're taking a little break from the discussion of death and loss and grief. It can be a bit of a heavy topic, eh? We are, at One Last Network, dedicated to the support and services pet guardians need as their pets age, too. Not just as we prepare for those last walks with our precious babes. As our pets age, we need to adjust our behaviors and schedules to allow them the space to grow old gracefully, but in ways you might not think. We might imagine our dogs need to spend all day sleeping, or they might need to stay away from rambunctious younger dogs. Or maybe that's just us projecting our desires to be old and cranky and, well, if you're over 50, you know what I mean. Research at the University of Toronto has shown that giving older animals mental exercise, encouraging them to engage in problem-solving activities, and exposing them to new, different, and richer environments helps to offset the decline in mental acuity. We can, says psychologist Norton W. Milgram, change the physiology of our dogs' brains by creating new connections between existing neurons simply by changing their routines and giving them new experiences. That's what episode number 13 is all about. I'm going to turn the mic over to Courtney Bryson of CM Bryson Photography in Atlanta, and she interviews her friend Paula Nowak of Canine Country Academy based in Lawrenceville, Georgia. They discuss simple modifications on common tricks and behaviors to help our senior dogs live out their best lives. Let's have a listen.
Hi, I'm Courtney Bryson of CM Bryson Photography based outside of Atlanta, Georgia. And today I'm here with Paula Nowak, the owner of Canine Country Academy based in Lawrenceville, Georgia. Paula has been training people and their dogs for more than 12 years. She's been featured on Atlanta Plugged In and has contributed blogs to Brit & Co., Chewy.com, and CEO Blog Nation. Paula and her terriers have earned titles in AKC Rally, AKC Scentwork, NACSW, Barn Hunt, and Trick Dog titles. Paula is a certified NACSW nosework instructor, an AKC Star Puppy and Canine Good Citizen Evaluator, and certified trick dog instructor. Canine Country Academy was founded to improve the relationships between dogs and their people. They strive to show you and your dog how to better relate to one another using respect, communication, and cooperation. I've been working with Paula and her team training my own dogs and foster dogs since 2016 and continue to take classes nearly every week. So excited to have Paula on today to share some insight on things we can do to make some simple modifications on common tricks and behaviors to help our senior dogs. So, Paula, are you ready to get started?
Absolutely.
Before I jump into the questions, I just kind of wanted to get your take on kind of why you're here today.
I love all ages of dogs and all the developmental stages of dogs, but I think this topic is something that we don't talk about enough in my industry of dog training, because when we think of dog training, we think of young dogs. You know, they're naughty and they're adolescent, and then somewhere between adulthood and senior, they don't get as much attention in terms of regular training. And when they're young, we may not think of what they need when they're older. And so I think this topic is really relevant because, you know, senior dogs, they still need stuff to do, just like people who, you know, are of retirement, you know, traditional retirement age need things to do to keep their body and their brain moving, and things that we can do to prevent anything that could, you know, be more challenging for a senior dog or caring for a senior dog.
Great. It kind of drops me right into the first question I wanted to ask you. So why do you think it's important to continue working on skills with our senior dogs?
You know, what I've experienced, because I don't see many senior dogs unless there's a behavior problem. But when I think of my own dogs or dogs I've, been able to enjoy that are in their senior years, they do better if they're physically and mentally stimulated on a regular basis. What I see is that they decline faster if they don't have that regular engagement. And yes, that's going to change. We're going to talk about things we might need to change, but it really can help you have a better relationship with your dog longer and may even help them have better quality of life well into their senior years. Unless they're geriatric, that's a whole other ball of wax. But we're talking about dogs who can, still do things and they can still learn, that fun adage, like, can an old dog learn new tricks? Absolutely. But we have to know what to do with them because we might not have ideas on what to do.
Yeah, I can definitely say, like, even with my own dogs, the senior dogs that had more skills kind of going into their senior years and that we kept asking them to do things did a lot better. Even Jack, my husky now, who he's going to be 11 in November, so very soon, still really enjoys getting out and doing things and being asked to do things and kind of getting that positive rewards.
Yeah, they do. The things that they enjoy when they're adults, they likely will still enjoy when they're seniors. It might need to be modified. It might need to be less time or, less strenuous, whatever. But giving them these different outlets, especially for those who are really social or really enjoy learning new things, continuing that is really a nice thing to do for them. Unfortunately, I know for me, I've gotten younger dogs and then the seniors kind of take a back seat. And looking back, I wish I would have done more with them. Easy to say, but you always learn, as you go to do more with them.
So, why would we need to modify some of the behaviors that we ask our senior dogs to do?
A lot of times I'm going to compare things to humans, even though dogs aren't humans. We work with a variety of ages and capabilities of people too. Even young people may have limitations. Young dogs might have limitations. A lot of times it's physical. The dog can't go for as long a hike as they used to. They can't hold a position as long as they used to, or a certain surface as long as, that they could before. And so we have to modify because physically they're not capable of doing it the way they used to. And honestly, I give them a senior pass a lot of times. Like, okay, you did it okay. You didn't do it as good, as you used to do it. It wasn't as fast or as accurate, but that's okay. I mean, I still think hold your standards to a certain point because I like to challenge. I have terriers, so I like to challenge them. But, physical is the first thing that comes to mind. And keeping them physically fit is going to change. I do dog-powered sports with one of my younger dogs, and he does fast cat and things like that. Like, I can't do that forever with him because it's not going to be sustainable for his body because things just break down, just nature. For the mental side, cognitively, they might not be as strong, or they may not have the capacity to learn very complex things or things that maybe take more energy to do. So maybe free shaping games where you tell the dog, like, you guess whatever you want, I'm going to reward it. The dog might be like, whoa, like my brain is kind of molasses and I can't do that anymore. So I think it's important to ask the dog the question and then listen to the response to say, how was that for you? Because dogs won't always self-modify for themselves. They're much like us. I know Courtney and I, we're go, go, go women. And then our bodies later are like, so next time, can we do like half of what we did before? And we have to listen to our dogs, and they may not be the best one to advocate for themselves. So just notice if they're, maybe a little more sore after a long hike or a big adventure. Maybe they're a little grouchy, those sort of things you might want to alter the physical or mental stimulation. And maybe a group class isn't the right thing, or maybe the type of class isn't the right thing. To, again, listen and watch and observe and say, what's right for you now? Because they're in a different phase of their life.
You really kind of answered my question about things that you might watch for to know when it's time to modify those. When you're talking about looking for dogs that are slowing down a little bit or seem sore or grouchy, Can you kind of give me some examples of behaviors that our dogs might already know? Like, I think everybody thinks of sit. Most dogs know sit. It's the first thing we teach them. How could we modify something like that to help them be more successful as they age?
So sit is definitely one of those things I think we utilize, but maybe overuse. We ask our dogs to sit for everything. Please think outside the box for your dogs and do more. But with sit, you may not hold the position very long. You may ask them to do it on a surface that has more traction on it. Nowadays, there are so many options for dogs to help them with traction. So if you have, tile or wood floors, you might be able to put little booties on them if they're willing to, or little things on their nails to help them have grip. But you might want to modify it too, like putting a pillow under their bum, or having them sit on the edge of a dog bed that can stabilize them so they don't have to do the full, if you will, like crouched position. They can do it kind of. I think it's important to still ask them. And if they're not doing something, it might be a clue there's something going on and you need medical support or physical therapy support too. But it's also really good for them to do these different shapes because we know they're using those joints and those muscles and, moving everything around good. We don't want them to get stiff or lame in areas. So even just like putting a pillow or even like a, something under them so that they can, crouch down and sit.
So that kind of brings up a good point. You talk about like sit is kind of our default behavior that we ask our dogs to do. Do you have some ideas for some other behaviors that we could teach even older dogs or behaviors they might already know?
Sure. And I was just having a conversation with someone about the benefits of really, and some of you may have just gotten an older dog and you didn't have the benefit of like teaching them a bunch of stuff ahead of time. But the more that they have in their library, the more you have to use in their senior years. So, kind of build up this bank of things that they can do. Things like a hand target. So having your dog walk towards your hand and putting their nose towards it is a really easy, fun one that you can have them do multiple times or move them throughout space. It's something fun and easy if they're willing to put their face towards your hand, whether it's the palm of your hand or the back of the hand for dogs who maybe are more sensitive to our hands grabbing them. We can also do things like mobility things. So if stationary is difficult or uncomfortable, can they spin in a circle? Those are really cute, like spin like little tops. My dogs all spin and it's really cute, but it's a great stretch too. So I think a lot of these skills are things that they can use for their benefit of their body. So spin in both directions, both right and left. Spin meaning, especially for senior dogs, like all four on the floor, they're walking in a circle, not like a dance, not like a little twirl. You could also do shake. Teach them, if they only shake on the right side, teach them the left side, having them use their whole body, not just one side of their body. If that's comfortable, whether they're seated or standing, you can still shake. Those are really fun things that you can do that are tricks, but also you can use them for a lot of different things and things that the dog maybe doesn't need to have great mobility to do.
When I know something that all of your dogs know and all of your trainers' dogs know is between.
Yes.
Which is a really cute, fun thing to teach dogs, unless they're really gigantic.
Well, and then you're just going to need stilts, right?
Yeah.
But between, for those who don't know, is your dog actually walking around one side of your leg, like they're facing you first, and then they go around the right or the left side, your choice, and then they end up between your legs, either standing, seated, or lying down. And it does make for a really good photo. Because you just have legs and then their cute little body. We've even tried it with two dogs between. Can be really cute too. But that's something that, is very practical too. You can get them out of the way of, things going on if you're on a walk, but it's also really cute and it helps dogs be around people's bodies if they're sensitive to being in our space.
And then as we kind of start talking about tricks and things that we can teach them, are there things that we could do or behaviors that we could teach them that might help us kind of in cooperative care later? Because I know as they get older, they have to do things like take medicine. You have to look at their teeth. They might need eye drops. You have to check their bodies. What are some things that we can do to make those more successful?
Yes. And this is something, start as soon as you get your dog. because inevitably the dogs who are not fond of some of these veterinary or husbandry type behaviors or things that we do to them are going to be more challenging as they get older and things are uncomfortable for them. So one, do a full body scan every week, every month, meaning making your petting time or touching time fun. If your dog doesn't love it, I would definitely pair it with some snacks or a licky mat. Always ask the dog how they feel about it. Keep it short and sweet. For the dogs who are like, what are you doing to me? Like, why are you touching me there? We want to make sure that they're enjoying it too, because it'll help us in the long run know if there's something going on, something's odd, knowing that scale. Having them be still is difficult for a lot of dogs. So teaching them to get up on a grooming table and enjoy it. You can put licky mats up there. You can put snacks up there. I'm all about making it really fun for the dog and very rewarding. So I'm definitely going to incorporate really yummy snacks. Things that they can lick can be really good, like cream cheese, baby food, mashed up dog food is a great option. My favorite thing, and that is super versatile, is chin. So that means that the dog puts their chin on your hand or on a prop so that you could look at their teeth if you wanted to easily without them, hating you and trying to bite you. Check their eyes, check their ears, put on medication. It's basically a stationing position. If you think about animals that are in captivity, like our, elephants and lions and tigers and bears, you are going to see them do these things for those animals, and we can do it with our companion animals too. So teaching a dog to just station, just be there, be still. And it also helps us to see if they're giving us permission. So if they do chin or they do station a certain way, then we know they're saying, okay, do the thing. I don't really like the thing. I don't like that you're putting eardrops in or, eye drops or putting on some medication on a topical area. But they're giving us the permission to do it. And consent is huge when it comes to veterinary care. If we can get it, there's things we can't, and so we have to make it as good as possible. But chin is my go-to because I can get a lot of stuff done if you can just put your chin here for a second.
That's awesome. So you kind of mentioned just a second ago talking about licky mats, which for people that don't know are a mat, usually silicone, that you can smear treats and things on. It's like your baby food, your yogurt, your cream cheese. Are there other kind of interactive feeders or enrichment that are particularly good for senior dogs or that you would recommend people look at?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think enrichment for senior dogs is a whole topic in itself because they can't do as many things sometimes, especially when they get to less mobility, more geriatric situations. So nowadays, like you said, they have the licky mats that are a flat silicone mat. Then you have bowls actually that are like silicone mats, but they're a bowl shape. Soft foods. I have a dog who has no teeth. Okay. Soft foods are really important, things that they're not going to choke on or they're not going to struggle with. I think making things relatively easy for them is important. They also make some things that have a suction cup that you can smear something on, and it's like a little pinwheel almost, and you can stick it on like glass or hardwood, and then, put something on there. You can freeze it if your dog likes frozen things, if they can handle that, and then let them work on that while you're doing husbandry or just as a snack. It's something I like doing. We just are doing a puzzle of the month at Canine Country Academy, and we just got these, I don't know if we're going to say it right, it's like mandala puzzles, and they're hard actually, but they're pretty short. And so you can put different things in the little petals, and that's really fun because it has I could put some freeze-dried snacks in one, peanut butter in another, and squeezed cheese in another, and you can do these different configurations and how you can use them for a senior dog to make it even more fun, potentially, if they like to use their nose, which I'm all about, is put all the other dogs away if you have multiple dogs, and you put a couple of those in different places and have the dog sniff it out and then enjoy it. Elevating it can be important depending on the size dog. So even my 20-pound senior dog, he likes it a little bit elevated because it's uncomfortable to put your neck down that way. So just putting it on a raised food bowl or even plant stands are actually really good for this, and then letting them work it out. So anything to engage their olfactory system, their sniffy system, can help too, because that releases good endorphins, calms the brain, and now they're licking, which is also soothing too. So any of those things are great for seniors. Some of the puzzles are great too, that they have to like flip something. It depends on their mobility and how persistent they are at that. So again, try it and see if the dog likes it.
Awesome. I love that. We'll have to have you back and do a whole enrichment for senior dogs episode because there's some good stuff there.
Yeah, there's so much. I was just barely.
Yeah. So in the meantime, where can people find you?
You can find us on our website, caninecountryacademy.com. That's canine spelled out. We also are really active on our Facebook page. So that's facebook.com/caninecountryacademy. And our YouTube channel and Instagram are also where we show up. And we love sharing educational information. So if you have questions about things, make sure to show up there and get involved in the conversation.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. This has been a great conversation. I'm really glad that we got to have you on.
Thanks so much for having me.
I just love how Paula talks about listening to what our dogs are trying to tell us through their behaviors and reactions to what we ask of them. It's vital for us to notice these changes so we can be good advocates for them in their health care and at visits to the vet. And one thing Norton Milgram determined in his research was that 1 year of enrichment in his dog study did not lead to significant differences. After 2 years, though, his behaviorally enriched group of dogs performed significantly better on cognitive tasks than the control group. His findings demonstrate that cognitive abilities in senior dogs can be modified by providing behavioral experiences, but we have to stick with it. Just like we can't teach our puppies to sit and expect them to sit without us always practicing and reinforcing our ask. Next week, the mic gets handed back over to Jessica Wasik of Bark and Gold Photography in Pittsburgh. She chats with Penny Lane, a certified professional dog trainer and fear-free professional who founded Pittsburgh Pet Prayer Blankets. The mission at Pet Prayer Blankets, through the distribution of, you guessed it, warm fuzzy blankets, is to wrap aged and ill pets in love, comfort, and prayer, while also supporting the families who are going through the difficult phase of anticipatory grief. I'm Angela Schneider, owner of Big White Dog Photography in Spokane, Washington, and your host at One Last Network, signing off to go get some Bella snuggles. Listen to One Last Network on whichever podcast platform you prefer. We're on Spotify, Stitcher, Apple Music, and Amazon Music. Don't forget to hit follow or subscribe so you don't miss an episode. If you have a friend who might be interested in our content, make sure you share us with them. Thanks for listening.